Hello, this is artist, entrepreneur, and art educator Eric McRay. I received a message through Instagram, and the artist was asking me if he wanted to add images of animals into his paintings, and someone else told him that it cheapens the art. I guess it in the sense of making it seem kish or cute. I'm not sure specifically what this person meant by cheapens the art, but the issue of animals in art is really relevant to how you choose to use the animal. So I'll give you two set of examples. Let's say you do a series of paintings of dogs playing pool or playing poker or shooting craps, or you're painting pictures of Bambi like rabbits or cute puppies with big eyes and cute kittens. You're doing paintings of flamingos and they look kind of cheesy and kishy, and or you're doing a wildlife painting that isn't very substantive. It could also be almost, once again, kishy. Kish means cheap, common, kind of overly sentimental. There's the deer. You can see every blade of hair, every hair on the deer, and the moisture on the deer's nose. And nobody's ever seen a deer that close unless that with that much detail unless he was dead. The best paintings I've ever seen of a deer, someone painted it was like a blur. And usually when I see deer, they're moving pretty quickly or they're getting ready to take off and move quickly. So they're preparing to leap or go. So really the issue is how you paint the animal and in what context. So I took some notes here in relation to that and did a little homework. And I ran through my mind some examples. For example, very successful, substantive examples of using animals in art throughout Western civilization. I'm going to go specifically Western civilization. But if you go in the East, in many cultures, African, Oceanic, pre-Columbian cultures use animals in ceremonial. Egyptian art as well. You'll see all kinds of references to animals and sphinx and all these things where the hybrids of animals use as spiritual beings and creatures and so forth, symbols of nature and virility and so forth and so on. That's one. But in the Western tradition of painting, Dutch still life painters would paint these really intricate florals and these still lives with pots and pans and all kinds of things and fruit and vegetables. And then they would have on these tabletops a dead rabbit, a lobster, a deer that's been hunted and slain. And these animals are kind of laid out there as if the bounty of the hunt and the bounty of the hunter and gatherer is there before you and painted in great detail and intricacy. Um, then you get into the 20th century. You look at a painter like Franz Marc. He was a expressionist painter, and he did this painting called "The Blue Horses." Very famous painting in 1911. Exquisite and a lot of influences of Cubism, Picasso's Cubism, moving into other areas of Europe, up from France into northern Europe. And so the horses were painted in a cubist nature, really beautiful expressionistic painting. Nothing kishy about these works at all. Weighty, substantive, not necessarily depressing or dark, but it was a certain kind of exuberance to those horses. Let's go even further. Just get later in the 20th century. Salvador Dali's Persistence of Memory. You know, you see the clocks melting, the persistence of memory. You have the clocks melting, and then there on this watch, they're ants, little tiny ants, and the ants kind of part of Dali's dream world, and he used ants a lot in this painting. Okay, there's another example. Okay, here's a masterpiece, a monumental work by the greatest painter of the 20th century, Pablo Picasso. His piece that was in relation to the German bombing of a town called Guernica, the Luftwaffe. The German Air Force was experimenting their military might, and they bombed this town, the Spanish town called Guernica. Just blew all the people to pieces, and just devastated the town. And Picasso did this massive mural called Guernica. Excuse me, I'm a little tired. And Guernica was the name of the town. And in the piece, he has this bull, his horse, and the horse is in agony, and the bull represents the Minotaur. And Picasso used Minotaurs and bull symbols as example of him and his machismo and the Spanish tradition of the bullfighter. Many paintings with Picasso had done with bullfighters. I mean, with bulls. And then once again, that's an animal. Okay, and then we get into the late 20th century, postmodernist period. This is a sculpture by Damien Hirst. Damien Hirst is one of my favorite artists. I'm just so influenced by him in so many different ways. But Damien Hirst did this piece called "The Physical Impossibility of Death in the Mind of Someone Living." And that piece is a shark, an actual shark, I think a 12-foot bull shark or something, in a case of formaldehyde, a huge tank of formaldehyde, suspended, like you see frogs or creatures in little science experiments in their little jars. He took a 12-foot shark, and when you look at it, the mouth of the shark is gaping open. And I think his whole concept was that you to feel that this creature could consume you. And thus you have this sculptural piece with actual flesh of a once living creature suspended in formaldehyde, like a science experiment. And now it's no longer moving, but you feel the magnitude and the power of this creature. Once again, another animal. And that's a big difference from painting dogs shooting pool or overly cutesy pet portraits and things like that, and really decorative pieces with animals and so forth. I love, like, I grew up in the city, and it was rare we saw praying mantis. So I collect images of praying mantis. I have a sculpture. I have a beautiful print that I recently acquired. Is in my collection of a praying mantis among a bunch of Venus flytraps. Very surreal, almost menacing, but quite beautiful piece. A balance of the surreal and the actual. It has a kind of a alien kind of almost science fiction feel, because you have these man-eating plants. Well, not man-eating, but these plants that flesh-eating plants, these Venus flytraps and whatnot, and this praying mantis among it. Beautiful piece, beautiful piece. I just love it so much. I was so glad to get this piece in my collection. I got it prominently hung, and next to it I have some photographs of praying mantis that are really like super detailed with like micro lenses, and see every little intricate detail on the praying mantis's exoskeleton. I have a painting by a local artist in a very pop art style of a praying mantis, metal sculpture. I think that's it. And a matter of fact, I saw something recently at, I think it's at Frank Gallery over in Chapel Hill. Massive praying mantis sculpture suspended on the wall. If anybody over there is hearing this, contact me, because I messaged you about the piece and haven't heard back from anyone. But so how you use an animal in a piece of artwork is more so the issue than whether you use animals. You can make it trivial and trite, or you can make it monumental and substantive. It's all up to you, depending on what style you use, from surrealism to cubism to photorealism to fantasy. It's all about you and the story you're trying to tell as a creative person. It doesn't really matter what you paint, it's how you paint it and how you photograph it and how you use the subject. I've seen some of the most absurd and almost ridiculous things be made quite beautiful, and things that should be quite respected turn into something quite trivial and almost idiotic. It's about the artist's personal expression. So back to the person who asked specifically this question: do animals in art cheapen the art? No. And yes, it depends on how you use the subject. It all depends on how you use the subject. Okay, hopefully I answered your question. I got a plethora of knowledge about this stuff. And if you find this helpful and beneficial to you, please share this with your friends. Share it on, in your circle. Hoping that this can impact others. I don't ask for any compensation. I don't have any product I'm selling you. It's just that I want to give back, and I've been very blessed. So my content, if it's blessing you, share it with others. Please subscribe. Go on YouTube. Go on my Eric McRay channel on YouTube and go in there and subscribe. I want to get my subscription numbers up. So that's how you can help me is subscribe. How you can help me is share this content. hit share. Share it on Facebook. Share it on LinkedIn. Main places for my videos are LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So please share. Also, like and comment. Please comment below. And I look forward to hearing from you. And thank you so much. And let's keep in touch. Take care. Bye.